You're listening to DraftKings Network.
For years, you asked yourself, how do I save more money? But now it's, how do I preserve my money? Someone's asking the right questions. And at Sandy Spring Trust, we'll answer them one-on-one. From asset management to legacy and estate planning, you can feel confident in what's to come. What's your next financial destination? Visit sandyspringbank.com/wealth. Wealth and insurance products are not FDIC insured, not guaranteed, and may lose value. Wealth products offered by Sandy Spring Trust, a division of Sandy Spring Bank.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Lebitard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
All right, let's bring in a baseball expert here with Jeremy. He is now doing, David Samson and Jeremy are doing a baseball segment that's smarter than most of the ones we do around here. So put this on the poll, Juju, please. Is there such a thing as a crafty righty? And David, go ahead and answer the question we're asking. What is crafty today? Because I don't think crafty today is the same as crafty was 20 years ago.
I'm not sure anybody's crafty today. And crafties are lefties, and they're slow tossing. Greg Maddux was a power pitcher when he started. Greg Maddux, when he got older, turned into a bit of a crafty because he confused crafty with command. Command doesn't make you crafty, and that's what Greg Maddux had. A lefty crafty is the guy from Major League with Vaseline on his shoulder.
Randy Choate.
Ooh, that's
Randy
a good one.
Choate was not crafty.
What?
But he did have a suitcase that had cutouts in it with alcohol bottles that he brought on the team plane. That was always fun.
He threw sidearm and threw like 91.
So sidearm is not crafty.
Oh, come on,
that's
crafty.
Submarine.
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
submarine.
crafty.
No.
Submarine. That's a different
No.
category.
Yeah.
Not submarine.
Tim Spooneybarger was a submarine pitcher.
Ooh, Spooneybarger.
Also not crafty.
No, not crafty. It's a submariner. Different categories.
Yeah.
What did you say Choate would do?
Well, we didn't allow players to bring alcohol on the plane, wink, wink. So he had a suitcase made that had cutouts in it. You know when you buy a book, but it's really where you keep your money and it's like empty in it? So he always wanted to be, he was Corbin Burnson of our team from Major League, talking to Major League, where you think he's the big business guy carrying a briefcase and wearing nice clothes and giving financial advice to people, reading the Wall Street Journal with a comic book in front of it. And he would bring on his briefcase. And when you opened the briefcase, it just had alcohol in it.
That's how he play.
I want to talk to Samson about a couple of different things, one of which was you promised us that security at Copa America was going to be fine and no problem at all. I don't think you've ever been quite as wrong on this show as that.
So I actually thought that the families would be secure. It did not occur to me that people would be accessing the ballpark through vents. It didn't occur to me that in our country we would see things that you see elsewhere where people would climb the gates, would overcome it. It really looked to me like ultra gone wrong, what happened at Pro Player Stadium, at Hard Rock Stadium. But what really I was focused on is all the finger pointing, and I want to end that here today. Hard Rock Stadium is responsible for Hard Rock Stadium. Hard Rock Stadium Operations is responsible for Hard Rock Stadium and safety and security. When you cut a deal to have an event in your stadium, you are not ceding control of security. You may be ceding control of load-in. If it's a concert, you may be ceding control of field maintenance because someone wants to bring in someone with a different turf and they just have to leave it as they found it. So they have to replace the turf when they leave, but not security. All those meetings and all the finger pointing that are going on is angering me because it is making it seem as though that it is a problem with these federations. And I do not believe, and I know that's not the case, having played games at Hard Rock Stadium for many, many years.
Well, tell me, because you and Mike have both been here, and I don't feel like that, and I'm behind, so forgive me. I don't know what all of the national discourse has been on this subject, so perhaps it's been covered. But I thought Mike was fairly alone in what I did see in talking about the minutia on security detail that puts the blame on the venue and not on the people because they were treating it like it was a regular season Marlins game with security.
Well, I'm not willing to say that not to put the blame on the people. Just because the turnstiles are not operating and the subway doesn't mean that you jump them. So if, in fact, there's an area where you can access a ballpark, that doesn't mean you access it without a ticket. That is trespassing. That is breaking the law. And in terms of the number of security, you also have to look at the number of police. And that is decided on beforehand. You meet with the county and the city of Miami Gardens, and you staff an event. Everybody gets a piece of paper that has on it the expected crowd, we don't put the announced crowd, the actual expected who's going to be there, the number of people. And then you get a number of staff, and then you get a number of the game day staff. So there's uniform security, and then there's non-uniform security, and everyone knows what it is in advance. It was definitely more on hand than for a regular Marlins game where they don't sell out. But it's also a difference when you've got a music festival versus James Taylor. And so the question is, when you have Copa having its final at Hard Rock, it's going to be staffed as though it's sold out and you're going to need extra security. And you've got to plan for the possibility of people coming to the site without tickets because they released a press release saying don't do it. But then they didn't establish, and this is Hard Rock, they didn't establish a second outside perimeter. That is page 2 of the security handbook. You don't let anyone in, not where the gates are. I'm talking about where the cars pull in. For people who don't know Hard Rock Stadium, it's a campus, and you access it through off the turnpike through gates, basically. That's where you need to present a ticket, not as you're entering the actual stadium. So it was a terribly embarrassing failure that caused people to be hurt, and it caused people to actually lose money. I found it to be a nightmare. I was having nightmares watching it, actually, Dan.
David, I wanted to talk to you about some of what is happening in the country right now. You mentioned security, and I believe everyone's a bit on edge, and I believe the last 5 months are going to be, or the next 5 months, are going to be truly awful to experience with God knows what's going to happen. But in this divide, when I see Donald Trump Jr. being celebrated for just ripping an MSNBC reporter and the hostility toward the press that makes it so we sent somebody out there and we sent somebody out there just to sort of laugh correspondence work in the street, and you can't get close to anybody there because security is so tight everywhere. The Daily Show didn't televise on Monday. Morning Joe, it feels like ran scared from everything that's happening because, of course, the media is going to feel threatened by everything that's happened out there. Can you explain to me what is happening with, for example, the show Morning Joe, which is supposed to be one of the strongest entities that we have?
Well, first, let me clarify something and correct you. It wasn't Morning Joe that didn't want to be on the air. The hosts very much did want to be on the air. This was above them. This was NBC. This was the top of the corporate ladder where they made a decision that they were not going to put their regularly scheduled programming. And the thought was they're going to do breaking news the entire time, Sunday and Monday. But in fact, they weren't doing breaking news the whole time. That was the same feed over all of the NBC channels. The reason why they didn't have Morning Joe on, it's informed by what happened many years ago, where they actually took Muslim anchors off the air. It was this past, I want to say many years ago. God, it's funny how that feels like many years ago, but it's not. It's with the Israeli-Gaza situation just back in October. And so the question is, why would a station or why would a network be nervous about what their anchors are going to do? Or are they nervous about how they're going to be perceived? Do they not want to be perceived as on one side of an issue? The problem is We're all on one side of issues, but there's certain issues everyone's one side should be the same. So the anchors for Morning Joe came on the air yesterday and said, listen, we're not doing that again. If you think that we're not going to be in our chairs the next time there's breaking news or the next time that you are counting on us as an audience to be here, we will resign before we hand over our microphones. A very interesting power play, the likes of which we see with McAfee making fun of the top 100 at ESPN, obviously meaningless compared to the real world and real world issues. But you don't often see a power play between a news show anchor and its corporate parent. And I am very interested to see how this proceeds, because people know what they're going to get with MSNBC. They know what they're going to get with Fox. The question is, are we all trying to become more centrist, or are we all so scared of the edge?
Okay, but which is it? Because the next 5 months are going to be awful. And if I see media entities again being run by corporate cowards, and I understand it, I get it. Bullet just flew by the head of former American president, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to run scared as a media entity because fake news wins.
It's interesting you say that, because were I to run a media company, this is when I would have those hosts on for longer. This is when I would want to make it very clear where we stand on certain issues that are not divisive, because they shouldn't be divisive. I don't want confirmation bias where we accept people who don't want to listen, who take a position on a subject. And that's what angered me. And I started Nothing Personal yesterday. I did a bit of a monologue to start the show. What bothered me about the assassination attempt, other than you cannot have that in this country, period. But the reactions by both sides were so angering to me, both the left and the right. It was staged. People are saying, obviously, why? Biden was responsible. Obviously, why? It's the biggest case of confirmation bias I've ever seen in my life. And if that's what we see over the next 4 months, then we're not going to see any progress whatsoever.
Let's get to something a little bit lighter here. Can you guys get for me, please, the video and the sound of Ingrid? Is it Andres or Andres? I don't know this person, but
this one not Hispanic.
Okay, she's not Hispanic, Dan.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know. I didn't know. Forgive me.
You didn't even see, so you don't know what she looks like.
I'm gonna.
This is a light turn here.
This is a light turn.
Okay. Andres. What are you looking at me for? I mean,
is that all you're going to contribute today? Is people are people, and this is a light turn?
I have top 5 craftiest pitchers of all time.
Okay, that's what you're going to contribute today. Let's. Yes, I had not.
That's a light turn.
I have not seen. This is also a light turn, Stugotz.
Yeah.
And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting. That our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave in the home of the brave?
Woof.
Gee.
You know.
That's very bad. That's a 4-time Grammy nominee. And of course, just like when you're sought after with the golf club by your wife and you just, or your Roseanne, or you say you're Ambien, she came out and said, oh, just FYI, sorry about that. I was totally drunk and I'm going to go to rehab and it's going to be fun, y'all. I hear it's great. I was despondent with her statement. And I'm supposed to be empathetic. And I have a problem with empathy, but really, this is what I didn't hear any slurring, but that's not the point. I was more angry with the operations people for Major League Baseball. You don't let someone on the field. You have eyes on people who do the anthem. You're in the green room with them, for crying out loud. Did she hide it that well, like a functioning alcoholic? How quickly into the national anthem do you just go take the microphone and start again? Because the level of embarrassment was off the charts.
I mean, yeah, David, she probably did hide it very well if she is a functioning alcoholic who's now going to rehab. Yeah. Like, that is how that works.
I don't think you can hide. You're so close to them. You're there, you're rehearsing. Maybe they're sneaking drinks. Maybe she spiked her water. All I know is that the in-game entertainment, which are the special events people in baseball, the people who work for the Rangers, you're with the people doing the anthems. There's rehearsals, and then there is pregame. There's a green room. You are a part of it. Maybe I'm inexperienced in that regard, but I've been thousands of anthems. We're with anthem singers.
Right.
I thought he was going to say I've been with thousands of drunks.
You can't pin this on game day ops, though. I mean, what are you doing?
I am pinning it on them because you can't. If you're baseball on your second biggest stage, someone argue your biggest stage, you cannot allow her to take the field. You simply cannot.
Yeah. Game day ops guys are like, what the
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is sponsored by BetterHelp. The impact of social media on mental health is a topic of growing concern. What do you do when you get caught up wishing your life looked like someone else's? Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together on their social media, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who have experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/DLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. HELP.com/DLB.
Dan Le Batard.
Go pee-pee.
Stugotz.
Go pee-pee.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I should tell people again that David Samson does a fairly extraordinary thing every morning. Doing a show by yourself is hard. Not many people do it that way. It's also lonely. Making it really good and different and covering different terrain every morning is complicated. John Oliver has a ton of writers to help him produce a half hour of television once an occasional week that's not even every week. And David every day is doing 50 straight minutes by himself without that kind of help.
With Coca.
With Coca, yes. So I encourage you to listen to Nothing Personal because it does a lot of the heavy lifting around Meadowlark Media on some subject matter that not a lot of the other shows are tackling. A lot of interesting things around the Knicks. It would appear, David, and this is fascinating, Stugotz, the Knicks are very well managed at the moment, but they've also done in a salary cap age because they hit on Jalen Brunson when they believed in him before other people, and they have his father believing in the organization. They have a group of people running the franchise who can convince Jalen Brunson to take $100 million less because, hey, Jalen, look, we got you a place. You're with your dad. That was fun, wasn't it? What's $100 million? We can get a whole bunch of other players, and now this will become the new model on how do I game the system if I can't beat the three guys somewhere else who are better than me. I give a big discount so that the owners can have more money. David loves this. David loves all the ways you give back discounts so that you can game the system.
Oh, I'm certain he does, and I want to hear his thoughts on it, but first you have to get lucky on Jalen Brunson.
That is correct,
Right.
And you have to fix 20 years of mismanagement, but also that mismanagement, James Dolan is the owner of all this. He's the one who's going to benefit most from others taking discounts, and he's fighting with the NBA, and he's a misery. He's one of the worst owners in the history of the league. So, David, take me behind the scenes here on what's happening with the Knicks.
So let me just put a tie on the Jalen Brunson situation because I've never seen a player take a discount. They say they do, and they like to say, oh, I'm here because I want to win a championship and I want to bring a title home for the first time since 1973. I understand two things. Either he's hurt or there is some sort of opt-out provision that exists in this deal that we haven't seen yet that allows him to opt out and sign another 5-year extension when the cap goes up even higher. So I will tell you from Nothing Personal, we do wait to sees. I'll do a Le Batard show wait to see. Jalen Brunson will not be under the current contract for the length of the current contract. It's never going to happen. he doesn't like New York or his dad that much.
Well, he can have a wink deal with these people to do that, to get around the limits of the system.
It's not getting around the limits of the system. It's just having an opt-out, and it's taking a chance. He could have waited an extra year and gotten 5 years with another extra $113 million, or he could sign this deal, which guarantees that if he gets hurt or stinks, he gets all of that money because it's all guaranteed. And if he keeps being as good as he is, in theory, there could be an opt-out. We just haven't seen the deal yet. But it's not enriching Jim Dolan. The Knicks team is not going to be worth more. They're a unicorn because they're better or make it to the finals. They are a financial behemoth, but one of the cores of their revenue stream is MSG Network. It's actually the thing that financed the Sphere, Stugotz.
Yes.
You should be thrilled for MSG Network, except MSG Network is in the toilet because of what's going on with regional sports networks. So Jim Dolan sent a letter to the other owners where he said, hey, guys, forget what Adam Silver is telling you. Don't agree to these extended TV deals, the one that'll get rid of TNT, the $76 billion over 11 years, because they're ruining our local revenue. They're going to make us just like the NFL. We're going to be sharing everything. There'll be a premium on mediocrity. And all the owners got this letter and they threw it away. Adam Silver got the letter, totally ignored it when asked about it after the Board of Governors meeting. Jim Dolan is the least respected owner in basketball. He just happens to be in charge of the most important team in the NBA. And Adam Silver wishes that he would sell.
Before we get to the movie review that you have this week, can you tell me anything new on the NBA package? Everything that's happening with Turner, with Charles Barkley, with everything, really.
Well, it got approved. That was the big thing that happened yesterday is the Board of Governors approved these 3 deals that have been rumored that David Zaslav, the head of Warner Brothers, told you they were going to be okay without the NBA. And now you've got Amazon, John Tesh, and Disney as the 3 holders of the NBA rights. And so the question is, in the next 5 days, will Warner Brothers Discovery try to match one of these deals to try to keep the NBA? And it's a very complicated legal issue, is how do you actually match something? It's sort of like when you play horse and someone does a dunk and you're 5'5". You make sure that that's not allowed before the game starts because you can't match that no matter what. And so there are things in this deal with Amazon that Warner Brothers cannot match. Warner Brothers could sue the NBA for doing that, but they won't. They could try to match it, but they can't. So it's going to end with NBC, Amazon, and Disney as the rights holders with a national game every day of the week after football season. Unreal.
What are the poison pills that they can put in there that can't be matched?
All about streaming, how the access that Amazon has to people around the world, the number of subscribers Amazon has on its channel. Warner Brothers cannot match that. It's the equivalent of the no dunk rule in horse. There is nothing that Warner Brothers can do about it. The other thing to note is that they may be peacocking a little bit, pun intended, and I mean Warner Brothers here, because they shouldn't be matching. They've got some financial difficulties. They're trying to pay down their debt. They're trying to prop up their stock price. And the $1.8 billion for the Amazon package, that is quite a premium that is being paid by Amazon because they've got the money because I order a lot of toilet paper.
Is there a link between this and massive WBD layoffs?
No, there's actually not. And the timing is so unfortunate. The layoff, you could add up all the layoffs and it would not, it's like firing 10 lower level employees and saying, oh, look, now we're a good company again. We're totally financially healthy. You have to get rid of the higher paid people, not the lower paid people. So no, there's too much money involved in this deal with the NBA that layoffs would not pay for.
What is the movie you're reviewing for us this week?
Boy, I hope somebody saw it. Anyone watch The Man with 1,000 Kids, the documentary?
Man, is there more than one? Is this the doctor that was using his own sperm?
No, that's another guy with
That's a different guy.
That's a different
guy.
Different guy. Yep. Fine, by the way.
So this is the story of a guy in Denmark who enjoyed going to sperm banks and being a donor and had a ton of kids all in the same geographical areas in violation of the law, which can cause kids to be incestuous because they don't know that all of a sudden they're brothers and sisters. And all I kept thinking about was Schwarzenegger's son with his housekeeper who came to work one day and said, God, I look just like my father. I look just like my siblings. The question is, what is the morality and legality of this man trying to spread his seed in places where he should not be doing it and violating the law? And he got caught because the mothers of these children, by the way, he wouldn't necessarily do it in a cup in the closet. He liked doing it the natural way as well, but that's a different part of the movie. But it is true. That's not normally how sperm donorship works. But all of that said, he got in trouble. And there are thousands of kids who are all brothers and sisters. It's a nightmare of a story.
Are you recommending the movie?
No. I'd rather you not think about it. I'd rather you just believe that this can happen.
Before you get out of here, Stugotz has his top 5 list of crafty pitchers. Yes. Are you ready, David?
Yes.
Number 5 or OLI?
Number 5, Dan.
Number 5.
Gaylord Perry.
Nope.
What do you mean no? It's my list.
Okay, sorry.
Number 4.
Dan Heron.
That's a good one.
His Twitter handle is I throw 88.
No, but that now
he used to be a power pitcher.
He used to
I throw 88.
He used to be a power pitcher.
He threw 88 miles an hour.
He's proud that he throws 88.
The entire second half of his career. You guys are wrong. That's a good one.
Heron used to be a power arm.
Never.
For like 2 years.
Now in the Marlins.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Ted Lilly.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Got David with that.
Ed Lily's a great one.
Thank you.
And also a Toronto Blue Jay. Number 2.
Tommy John.
A classic. Number 1.
Jamie Moyer.
Bravo.
Bravo to
Wow.
Jamie Moyer.
A standing ovation from
Best one of all
Cody.
time.
I mean,
Clearly.
Jamie
Look, when
Moyer.
you get 1-1.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is Jamie Moyer the greatest, craftiest pitcher ever?
According to the Google search I did for top 5 craftiest pitchers, he's number 1.
Greatest crafty pitcher ever. Yes, agreed. David, thank
Same
you.
search.
We appreciate it.
Take care.
Jeremy, what did you and David do yesterday on
David
the
and I
show?
did nothing because David is not a staple on this show.
We need to clear this up. This is Jeremy's show. David doesn't co-host it. I think Chris Cody may co-host it. I'm not even certain if he does. We need to get on the same page with how to promote this show. Okay.
Yes. Well, we need to get on the same page with how to promote everything. So, Billy, help me promote what it is that Tony's doing tonight.
Tonight? The Tony Show.
Presented by DraftKings.
2.0.
Just 2.
It's called the... what?
It's just Tony Show 2.
The Tony Show 2. And it's called the Tony Show because they don't know what they're going to do. Right? Isn't that how you explained it earlier?
Cooler than that.
It's the
but
perfect
yes.
name because they don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah,
Tony Show
cooler than that.
Part
Like,
2.
Anything can happen. Tony Show is like back in the day when you used to invite your friends over for summer break and you used to have that night where you play video games and have pizza and your mom would kind of leave you alone. That's kind of what the Tony Show is.
So you're just playing video games and eating pizza?
Again,
They don't know what they're going to do.
Again, cooler than the way you say it, yeah.
Right.
All right, everybody, it's finally here. Best Ball Week at DraftKings, my favorite time of the year. And DraftKings Best Ball Millionaire Contest is the biggest fantasy contest ever at DraftKings. A $15 million guaranteed prize pool with 2 millionaires being crowned. DraftKings is offering everyone a Draft One, Get One special. Your $20 entry fee scores you a bonus ticket. It's Best Ball Week here at DraftKings, and download the DraftKings app and use code DAN. That's code DAN, D-A-N, for all customers who enter the NFL Best Ball $15 million Millionaire Contest to get a bonus ticket and get a shot at being crowned one of the 2 millionaires, only at DraftKings.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 and over in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. One per customer. Enter the Best Ball $15 million contest by 9/5/24 to get one bonus entry. $20 entry fee required. Reward expires at contest lock on 9/5/24. See terms at DraftKings.com/DFS.
Don Le Batard.
We didn't get to your guys' against the spread.
You're right. Dave.
I don't have it against the spread because I wasn't prepared for this segment.
You need an Ian in your life.
You have actively played defense against me today in a way that has rarely been this undercutting.
Stugotz.
Defense wins championships, baby. That's show business.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Billy, what is that noise of support?
That's a cool noise.
The Tony Show. Yeah, you're doing. Are you doing hang 10 signals with your hands?
I don't think I've told you this story, but I have a story, and it is when Cougs and I bonded for the first time. It was last year at the Stanley Cup Final before this company played defense against me to get me credentialed, and I got credentialed to the Stanley Cup Final last year. Mm-hmm. So I went to the Stanley Cup Final last year. And I got there at the same times as Cougs, and it was just me and Cougs. Roy was acting as though he didn't know who I was, like completely ignored me. So I had to, gravitate towards anyone that would know me because I got there like 4 hours early. And what am I going to do? Just talk to no one? So, anyways, we're going through security. We get our credentials, go through security, and the security guard, for whatever reason, and the timing on this story isn't great, but the security guard looks at me. And I set off security because I have this belt that always sets off the metal detector for whatever reason. So I didn't take off the belt. So the security guard, as I walk through the metal detector and it goes off, he goes, "You have any guns on you?" And I look at him, and I swear, and it was very out of character for me. I look at him and I go, "Only these." And I showed him my biceps.
No
and I
way.
stuck my tongue out and gave him a hang. Like, "Only these." And then he laughed.
I cannot see you doing that, man.
I walked through security. A little out of character for me.
Yeah.
And it was just to make Cougs laugh, to be honest with you, because I never would have done that.
I'm surprised that your biceps didn't set off the detectors.
Oh, they did.
Are you guys skeptical of these modern day detectors that you just don't have to empty your pockets anymore? And it's just they're letting everyone walk through. It doesn't feel safe to me. Give me the old school, put my phone, put my keys around the thing, walk through it. These ones nowadays where it's just like you're walking through like two field goal posts.
Where are they doing this, though?
A lot of places.
Are
It's just
they?
the ones where it's like the guy's like 10 feet away on a screen and he's just like, it seems safe, but it's just like everything. They're like, don't empty your pockets, just keep moving. And it's just like, I'm always thinking to myself, this can't be safer than what we used to do.
He's turning into his dad. No, it's convenience, though.
That's what I mean.
But what you're yearning for is you want to take all the stuff out of your pocket, put it in a bowl, and then get it on the other side.
I just always think to myself, these machines can't be perfect. I just feel like they're missing something.
I just want to be safe.
When it's just, I feel like they're doing it for inconvenience. They're like, all right, let's go, walk on through. We're just here. We're just doing this thing. We're not even really looking here. Just moving on through.
Can you guys please get video? This is going to take you a minute, but while I'm talking, you're going to be able to find it. There is a famous video of a security guard outside of a stadium trying to do nothing at all to pat someone down. But we were talking about this yesterday, and I do want to stay here for a minute because I'm really scared about what's going to happen, that we keep trying to protect ourselves from stuff that can't be protected from. Like you just saw an assassination attempt. And I think, it's easy to second guess how it is security is handled when you see gunshots and to blame people. But I feel like we all learned at roughly the same time that former presidents get the security Secret Service B team, that it's not the A team that the former presidents get on how you handle that stuff. But all of security is a total illusion. And the thing that made that most clear to me, some of you might be too young to remember, which is how we were trying to make the rules up as we went along right after 9/11. If you think traveling and security and stuff is difficult now, it's almost never been more difficult than it immediately was after 9/11, because it was like, oh, we're not secure at all. How do we do this differently? And then it became very, very hard. But somebody got on a plane with a bomb in their shoe and was only caught because they couldn't get the lighter or something to work while they were trying to light their shoe on a bomb. And after that, they were like, everybody takes off their shoes. We don't know how to do this. We didn't know that we were supposed to be checking the shoes. Everybody needs to take off their shoes now. And it's what we're doing now.
Well, not if you pay like $80.
That's correct.
We got your shoes clears
under good.
Then you can keep them on.
Just pay.
You got the $80.
Let me fly the plane.
No, you say this, Tony, but I will tell you, when I tell you that South Florida is different, you say, let me fly the plane. We were giving instructions to bombers who were only asking how to take off on planes. We were training bombers in South Florida.
In the Keys.
They didn't know. Yes, no, in like the Everglades.
Yeah.
They didn't. They weren't asking how do we land the plane. And nobody got suspicious. We only want to know. We only want to learn how to take off.
Take off here.
Don't need to learn any. We're
Guys
in a
should have been
hurry.
like, wait a second. You gotta land that guy, right?
I'm assuming they were all from Hialeah. Somewhere around Hialeah.
With the dogs?
We're
Getting
dropping
back
off
to that.
dogs and training terrorists in the Everglades.
Thank you. Yes, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Are we dropping off dogs and training terrorists in the Everglades? Speaking of mixing dogs and politics, let's get to this footage from last night, Stugotz, because it's some of the only footage that we can give you in our political coverage. Where is this West Virginia? What is this West Virginia politician's name?
This is Jim Justice, not Bob Huggins. Jim Justice, and this is truly one of the funniest videos from a political convention I've ever seen. The rhetoric is horrifying. Ignore the words coming out of his mouth. Watch this video.
So this is only going to work for the video audience. This will not work comedically for the audio audience because I've not seen this yet. But you're telling me this is, despite the hateful rhetoric, you're telling me this is funny video.
This is right out of Parks and Rec. Like, this is right out of Parks and Rec. After we play this audio, we will explain exactly what it is that the video audience saw.
All right, let's do that.
Bottom line to every single thing that's going on in this great country today is one thing. We become totally unhinged if Donald Trump is not elected in November.
Where'd that guy come from? So he says all of that, and then on C-SPAN, immediately, the director cuts to a wide shot during that applause, and there's just a giant, fat English bulldog sitting on a chair next to him.
Why? Why?
It's his dog. He brought him out, said how happy he makes him.
Because he's Jim Justice. I mean,
it's a good name for a crime fighter,
it's a great name.
Dog has pecs.
Is that why he won in West Virginia? Just the name?
It is a great name.
Also probably the politics.
For a politician. Is it his real name? Because if I were right now trying to get power in politics, I would totally produce a name like Jim Justice.
JJ.
I'm here for these conventions. You pan off and it's the animal that looks most like you. And it's like, all right, this is Jim Joyce talking, and then you pull back or whatever.
Jim Joyce is an umpire.
Oh, he cut it straight.
Jim Joyce.
Go sit in the penalty box again. Unless you want to get fined every time you get a name wrong. Do you prefer that? Stugotz, while I was away, one of the things that you guys are going to have to help me because I don't know how this was all received nationally. I've read some stuff that people have objected to what they say is ESPN cheerleading LeBron James and the Lakers drafting his son, Bronny, and I know a lot of people think that's wrong, nepotism, it's not a meritocracy, but I do find funny if you are criticizing this and don't understand what it is that LeBron has been doing with power amassing. Given that the Lakers have been pretty shitty for 12 years, and the Lakers have had basically for 12 years only LeBron and Kobe, and they cashed in on some of the late Kobe years, even if the team wasn't any good. Given that it's a family business and it's a small thing, If I get 2 more years of LeBron I can milk out of this economy, I will remind you that the only reason that I worked at Disney is because they also hired my dad and brother. If you don't believe LeBron can choose his son and his coach because they need his economy for the next 2 years to just milk it, even if they're not any good, you don't understand what's happening there, which is LeBron can do whatever he wants, and it doesn't matter what your rules are. He's realized at the end of his career what the economy is of LeBron, and that's the business the Lakers are in now. You can object to it. You could want meritocracy. You could say it's not fair. But if LeBron wants his son on the team and JJ Redick is the coach, that's what you have to do in order to make money.
I think it's great. I think what he did for his son is fantastic. And I think most people, have given the opportunity to do something like that for their kid, they would do it. What makes it so unique, LeBron had to continue to play at the level he's been playing at for 19 years to still have the value to an organization or other organizations where he had enough leverage to make this happen for his son. And what a great move by a dad. And who wouldn't want to play with their son at the highest level of their sport? And so I don't care. I applaud LeBron James for doing this for his son, because what parent wouldn't, if given the opportunity, wouldn't do that for their child?
But what if he's not ready? Because he's clearly outmatched every time he steps on the floor. He's smaller, Tony, he's not as quick, he's not as good as everybody else.
He's probably not ready. I'm not even certain he's good enough. It doesn't mean you don't do it for your kid.
Sure, but at what point do we look around and say, like, he's just not that guy?
Probably at the end of the contract that they gave him with all the guarantees.
But 4 years, well, what is that? What is 4?
He's 19.
No, this is crazy to me. And I asked Amin this, like, what? Since when does a second-round pick, 55 in the draft, get 4 years, $8 million? When Stugotz says doing it for his son, is he?
You don't think he is?
I think he's doing it for himself. Well, and it also happens to benefit his son.
Well, I'm certain he's doing it for himself. It's something he wants to do. He has said for years now, I want to play with my son, and if I could stick around long enough, I'll play with my other son. I'll leverage that situation. But, Dan, it is incredible that he's still playing at such a high level at the age of 39.
I agree, but
he can pull this off.
But I want to explore this question for you as someone who's living vicariously through the children of champion lacrosse Rachel. Mm-hmm. Is he? Is he doing it for his son? Because I think a portion of it is he's doing it for his son, but this is exceptional and extraordinary for the LeBron economy. Like, does it not mean, is Jalen Brunson represented, how does this work with what was CAA and Leon Rose and your beloved Knicks? Is Jalen Brunson clutch, or is he with somebody else as an agent? Because
I'm checking out.
LeBron's moving pieces, Stugotz. His son, players. I'm not sure if Jalen Brunson is a part of this. I just know
Brunson CAA.
Yeah. Okay, so Brunson's part of this CAA contingent that makes Leon Rose. They're making deals with the Knicks. The Knicks got in charge, Stugotz. They did what ESPN did, which is let CAA sort of run their business through relationships.
Correct, yeah.
ESPN was being run by Nick Khan.
Now it's being run by Pat McAfee.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. Stephen A. Smith would like to have some of that power, some of that exact
Pat
power.
has it right now. So
ESPN coming out and saying they have no interest in giving Skip a day, huge miss.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They came out publicly and said that?
Crazy.
Yeah, don't want him back. Not for a day.
It's a bluff.
Yeah. No, I like that by them. We don't need him.
Oh,
we're fine now.
It'd be electric if they got him.
One day, retirement day.
It's like you don't need 15 blue crayons in the box of 64 Crayolas, but it's fun to have them.
I mean, when's the last time he had a good take? He's out of the game.
Oh, how dare
when's the last time Skip had a take that we were like,
I don't know. I haven't watched him in 8 years, but I'm sure he still has it.
I don't watch him either. You see it on the internet, and I haven't seen a Skip take that people are like, oh, he's back. He's old.
Talk about Bronny and nepotism. So Jalen Brunson and Rick Brunson are together in New York. But it's funny because in the very first sentence of Woj's article about the signing of Jalen Brunson, his agents are Aaron Mintz and Sam Rose of CAA, who I believe is the son of Leon Rose.
Pulling up to Mickey D's just for drinks? Oh yeah, that's me. Nothing extra, just perfection and a straw. Coming in hot for the coldest cups on the block. Because there are drinks. Then there are drinks from McDonald's.
Mix things up with any size lemonade or sweet tea for $1.49. Perfect with our classic fries. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.